So with all the plans that you've talked about, how do you measure your success, or how do you measure progress towards your goals? Do you have targets? Do you have a yardstick? How do you know if you're succeeding? 1 year, 2 years, 2 terms into your tenure. How do you know that things are working?
Well, and that's the fairest question that you've asked so far, right? Because we can dream all we want, but we need to measure. We need to be realistic. So we have to measure by what we see. Do we have a safe city? Is it clean and livable now? Are our government agencies functioning again? How and what is our relationship with the current school board? What's going on in the actual classroom? Because this is what drives business and people to our location.
Okay, a lot of those sound like, rhetorical questions.
Right.
I mean, they're big questions.
Right.
And obviously, they're key questions.
Right.
But again, as you're going through your term, first year, second year, how do you know that you're making progress? Do you have any specific yardsticks or goals that says if we can, reduce crime
Right.
5% in the first year, 20% in the second year?
Well, I think if we keep it and we conduct ourselves in a conservative manner, we say if we can reduce crime by, let's say, 20%, right, in the first year, we're demonstrating that we're going towards the right avenue. If we can increase, let's say, the graduation rate, which is now below 50%, to, let's say, 55%, we're demonstrating an upward trend. Because, and I'm using conservative numbers because our system is so devastated that it's going to require a lot of work for us. When you talk about law enforcement, you have to begin by saying you have a collective bargaining agreement that hasn't been signed for 3.5 years. We need to start with that. What's the baseline there? How do we negotiate on behalf of the citizens of the city? I am definitely concerned with that. And then where's the starting gate? Meaning, what are the salaries that we're paying? And then what are we getting in return from this uniformed force that's responsible for keeping us safe? And then you can put them out on the road and ask them to do what we ask them to do, which is keep us safe and help reduce crime. The same thing is for the educational system. We have the $266 million that comes into the state, or from the state. And then we still have this dysfunctional system. We finally have a somewhat organized process going on in the Board of Education, but we have a superintendent who doesn't want to be here. He's looking for a job, he's leaving. Once you do that, you've already changed the capability or the ability to be taken seriously when it comes to, are you truly interested in helping us change this educational system as fast or as quickly as we need? So there's some real key things that I would have to go into first. So maybe that begins the measurement. Mm-hmm. How quickly can we fix that? And then we start saying from there, here's our benchmarks that we go by. And then hopefully by the end of the year, we might be beginning the trajectory upward and away from the failures. Downward in crime and upward in school.
So when you come up with your list of benchmarks
Right.
or yardsticks, is that something that, obviously not on the first day of your term, maybe not even the first 6 months, but
Right.
once you have your metrics, is that something you would release to the public so that your
Of
Trenton
course.
voters and the public could see how you're doing?
The one thing you're going to get, and forget my finger there, the one thing you're going to get from a Perez administration is transparency. You're going to have that. There's no reason for me to be the mayor and not tell you what we're doing, because you need to know, and I need you in order to be successful. So we're going to have to work together, and we're going to have to be able to say, you know what, here's how we can do it better. And then there used to be a mayor of New York, good gracious, his name escapes me, but he used to walk around and he used to say, how am I doing?
Ed Koch.
Ed Koch.
Ed.
And that was
Yep.
that was his report card. He would always ask everybody, how am I doing? And then the people would tell him, not too good. And then he would say, okay, I need to fix this, right? And he was very successful. And he would walk around town, and I was a young man, but I remember that. It was so impressionable that a mayor, someone in that position, would do that. That's the kind of mayor we need here. That way, when you're fired and people vote you out, it's not a surprise because you didn't listen to them. You're not a mayor if you're sitting there and not listening to the people.
Let me pick up on two big topics that you talked about, education, then public safety. You were talking just a little bit about education. Obviously, education is critically important to the future of this city. But realistically, apart from appointing members of the school board and having a role in the selection of a superintendent, the mayor and city council doesn't really have much of a direct role in setting educational policy and managing the affairs of Trenton School District, especially during a period of time when we have a state fiscal monitor overseeing management of the system. What role does and can a mayor play in setting educational policy?
I think there's a lot that the mayor can do, and I've been doing that during my campaign, and that is visiting the schools. You should see the reactions that we get when we walk into schools. The children are full of hope when they see you. They know who you are. You have an opportunity to talk to them directly. It's almost like you have an opportunity now to become part of the teaching process. You're part of the learning process now. And you don't necessarily need to just do it through some system or some person. You have to take a lead in everything that you're doing. So by me coming and visiting your school, the teachers respect the fact that you're not so busy that you can't come see me. The children see that you truly believe in their well-being, right? You have an opportunity to see things firsthand, and then you, by virtue of being there, you serve as an inspiration to our children. You're bringing back hope to the city where there's so much hopelessness right now. So I don't necessarily need to just jiggle the line over here and keep pushing the Board of Education and the superintendent. There's much more that I can do. I should be able to speak to my board members and to the superintendent, inform them of my vision, ask them to give me input on what they believe about this vision, and is it feasible? Can we do this? And then do my part. My part would be to come visit the children, talk to them, talk to the teachers, talk to the principals, look at the facilities, have an opportunity to understand that we have a brand new Martin Luther King school, for instance, modern, one of the most modern in our inventory. Yet we have this incredible landscape that they can't afford to upkeep. See, so you wouldn't know that if you don't go visit. So there's a lot that a mayor can do.
Public safety is a major hot button issue to the city's residents. For example, just this past Sunday night, a 16-year-old was shot and killed 3 or 4 blocks from this very spot. The homicide rate and the violent crime this year so far in 2014 is almost as bad as it was in 2013, the worst year that Trenton had ever experienced. This is happening after a year in which we've had a major commitment of manpower and resources from the county sheriff's office, from the state police to assist the Trenton Police Department. How do we break this cycle? Over the last couple of years, one initiative that had taken place on the state level was down in Camden County, right? When the Camden City Police Force, under similar constraints, was essentially dissolved and absorbed into a county-wide system. What do you think of that system? Do you think it's a model for Trenton, or do you stand behind the integrity of an independent and city-run, city-managed Trenton Police Department?
Well, I'll say 2 things. First, I prefer the independent police department. However, the court is still out on whether or not the regionalization of Camden is truly effective as it could be. They have a lot of resources. They just hired 400 new police officers. So definitely getting the resources that they need. So that's a plus. But we need to look at our strategy right now. And you just mentioned the fact that resources are coming in to help Trenton. But you know what's been missing? A face of public safety. Someone who's standing up and saying, enough. This is it. It's not happening anymore. Not in our hometown. We've been missing that. And you need a mayor that can say that can come out in the street and say, you know what, guys, it's over. We're not going to do this anymore. And then you're going to stand there and you're going to welcome the police into the community, and you're going to make sure that they do their job, and that they have the resources to do those jobs, and that the people clearly understand that this is your plan, so that no one feels that there's some sort of dislocation between the mayor's office and what's happening with public safety. We need to do that. Just recently, we had the wonderful endorsement of our friend, Mr. Jim Golden, who was the former police director. Having Jim Golden on our team creates that much more possibilities for us to come up with a true law enforcement plan that will help reduce crimes and violence in this city. So we will definitely be looking at what is the mayor's role. Once again, the mayor has to be out front. The mayor has to be the guy that says, here's what our standards are, here's what our values are, and we're going to stick by those. And if you don't want to live by those, and I do this, I want you to know this. When I knock on the doors and when I walk through the streets, I come in front of these guys, I shake their hand, I tell them who I am, and most times they already know who I am. And I ask them, are you okay? And then they'll say, yes. You don't have anything on you, do you? And they'll say no. But of course we know sometimes they do. But here's what I tell them. When I become the mayor, and if you're out here committing a crime, you're going to go to jail. Because that's the standard, okay? You're not going to be allowed just to stand around and open markets and do what you do, okay? We can't afford that. That's not normal. It doesn't happen anywhere else. We cannot afford to have that continue to happen in our city that we live in.